the whole success of Bitcoin rests on more people buying it. So if you own it, you pretty much have to proselytize. You got to try to convert as many of your friends or colleagues as you can and get them to buy, because that's the only way the price of what you already own is going to go up. Bitcoin is not an asset that's like real estate where you can collect rent, or stocks where you could collect a dividend, or bonds where you get paid interest. It's just a token, right? It's like, a baseball card, except, it's not really that rare and you can't hold it in your hand. It's just a digital string of numbers. I mean, it's not like a commodity where you actually can use it for something. Like oil, you could, use it to generate power. You drive a car, right? You could heat your home. Or it's not like wheat or soybeans, where you could eat them. Or it's not like gold, where you could make jewelry out of it or conduct electricity with it or use it in all sorts of industrial applications like other metals. It doesn't have any of the properties of a commodity or of an investment asset. What it does have now is a very high price, right? As we're talking, Bitcoin is almost $50,000 to buy a Bitcoin. Now, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin because you can break them down into like 100 million Satoshis. But if you bought an entire Bitcoin, it costs you, 49,000, 48,000 right now. People are saying that it's still early on. Like, you could buy Bitcoin at $50,000 a Bitcoin and it's going to go up to $2 million a Bitcoin. I mean, there's just no way that's going to happen. It's far more likely to collapse, especially since now you have, a lot of people, smaller people getting in. The
Right.
people who got in early on, they need those new people to come in so they can get out. So they have to pump up the price. They have to generate a lot of hype and a lot of enthusiasm. But all this stuff is pie in the sky nonsense. Everything they say about how this is going to change the world and it's revolutionary and, Bitcoin fixes everything. It doesn't fix anything. It's all a fantasy. It's not real money. It doesn't have any substance behind it. It doesn't have any real value. It has a price, but price isn't value. Like, they're trying to market Bitcoin as digital gold, except it's nothing like actual gold. You can't do anything with Bitcoin that you can do with gold. Yeah, you can hold on to it, but it's not a store of value. Gold's a store of value because gold is a very valuable metal. And even if you're not going to use the metal yourself, you can store it because somebody else could use it in the future for whatever they want to do with it. But you can't do anything with Bitcoin today. So storing it for the future doesn't make any sense because there won't be anything you can do with it in the future either. The way Bitcoin is marketed, it's not marketed as a high-risk gamble. They say it's a store of value. It's a safe haven. It's a digital gold. But it's nothing of the sort. I mean, it is extremely risky. And I think ultimately, wherever it goes on the upside, it's going to zero on the downside. So if you're in Bitcoin, you have to get out of it at some point before it collapses, except the mantra is never sell. HODL, right? You need diamond hands. That's part of the con, because the people who want to get out have to convince everybody else not to get out. The guys that got in a long time ago, they're just trying to quietly unload as much Bitcoin as they can before the music stops. And they do that by trying to get more and more people, entice them in based on the promise of, easy riches, right? You're going to get rich. Revolutionize the world, own this Bitcoin and you don't even need a job. Just buy this Bitcoin and never sell it. Bitcoin is scarce because it was programmed to be scarce. It's an artificial scarcity. It's not a natural scarcity. And the idea is that, well, that's never going to change, right? The miners are never going to vote to authorize additional Bitcoin, right? I mean, in theory, it could happen. But let's accept, for argument's sake, the Bitcoin proponents' theory that it will never be more than 21 million, right? It's fixed at 21 million, and let's give them that. Well, so what? Because gold is scarce, and it has value that is very unique and specific to gold, right? Gold can do things that other metals can't, or it can do things much more efficiently than other metals. So it's unique and it's scarce. Bitcoin is not unique at all. It doesn't have any real value. There are 15,500 or so alternative digital currencies, tokens, assets, whatever you want to call them. The main difference between them and Bitcoin is it's the name. It's got a different name. Some of the names are almost identical, like Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, or, whatever. All kinds of things. And some of them have crazy names, But practically speaking, there's not that much difference between any of these other tokens. And in fact, you could make another token that is exactly like Bitcoin in every way, identical to it, just a different name. Bitcoin 2, Bitcoin 3, Bitcoin 4. It's not really scarce if there's 15,000 other cryptocurrencies that I could buy. You have to look at what a stock is. A stock is an operating business. And why are you supposed to buy a stock? Well, because you want to own a piece of that business. Why do you want to own a business? Well, because the business makes a profit and the owner gets the profits. When you buy a stock, when you buy shares of a stock, you're not buying the entire company, you're just buying a small piece of it. But you also get a small piece of those profits, which could be huge. If you're talking about a Fortune 500 company, the profits are really big, and you're entitled to a share of those profits. So if the company pays a dividend, you get some of that money as a stockholder. Or if they don't pay a dividend, if they just use their income to buy back shares, that causes the price of the shares to go up, and you own some of those shares. So you have a vested interest in the success of an operating company. And you invest in stocks where you think the company is fairly valued or undervalued, and you're making a bit of a bet on the future prospects of that business. Are they going to keep on earning money? Are they going to earn more money? Are they going to raise their dividend? But you're buying an actual thing. So it's not just about going up, right? I can buy stock in a company and it never has to go up. If they pay me a dividend every year, the dividend is a good return. Right. Maybe a stock pays a 7-8% dividend. That's a nice return on your investment, right? Every year to get that cash flow. So Bitcoin, on the other hand, you're not buying into anything. You're just buying that digital token. That token doesn't generate earnings that it can share with you. It just sits there on the blockchain and we pass it around, but it doesn't do anything. So the only way you can make money on a Bitcoin is if somebody else buys it from you at a higher price. That's not the case with stocks. But the difference is with Bitcoin, you're guaranteed to lose all your money if you don't get out.